October 13, 10 o'clock, District Court, courtroom number 6.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. Oh Gott, wie soll ich den denn jetzt sprechen?
What about the prosecution? Are you prepared to?
What a stupid question.
What did you say?
Fine, let me ask you then, Your Honor. Are you ready? Are you ready to pass judgment?
No, I'm not. I will pass judgment after I hear arguments for both sides.
Well, if you're not ready yourself, you shouldn't expect others to be. That's a rule to live by.
Who are you?
I am Godot, legendary prosecutor. I've never lost a case.
He's the one that Detective Admin was talking about.
Yes, your reputation precedes you. What kind of cases have you dealt with so far?
Ha, none.
What did you say?
I've never prosecuted a case before.
Never? But you said you've never lost before.
Exactly. I've never lost. I've never won before either.
You never nie an einem Fall teilgenommen hast, kannst du natürlich auch noch nie verloren haben.
Quite arrogant for a beginner, aren't you?
Even the mightiest of redwoods begin their lives as mere saplings.
Yes, but a mask in a court of law?
Ah, don't you know anything? No matter the man, we all wear masks, either on our faces or over our hearts.
This guy is the real deal, alright, Nick. Why does it seem like all prosecutors are the real deal?
So we finally meet Mr. Phoenix Tried.
Nick, is he a friend of yours?
No, I don't have any friends that call me Tried.
Just who is this masked man?
I've returned from the depth of hell to do battle with you.
Well then, Prosecutor Gobo?
It's not Gobo, it's Godot, Your Honor.
In any case, please give your opening statement.
Opening statement? Those things are not fit for even dogs to consume. I have only one thing to say before we start. To you, Mr. Tried.
What is it?
Are you familiar with the saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link? I wonder how much you can withstand before you and your case break in two.
Well then, let's hear from the first witness.
Oh, Christians Lieblingszeuge.
My name is...
No one has asked for your name, witness. The important thing is what you know, that's all. Start talking, we're listening.
Yes, sir. Alright, witness, first let's hear about... what you know about the thief that stole the urn.
Yes, sir.
Okay, jetzt setzen wir mal alle unsere Mitdenkbrille auf.
Master Masque is a master thief that first started his crime spree 6 months ago. He's so confident that he sends his calling card before he even commits the crime. This was his 5th heist, and as usual he sent a card on to Lolly Taylor. His pattern is to always go after only the most precious art pieces. That's why we're sure it was Master Masque, sir. It fits his MO to a G.
Vielleicht schon direkt das mit Precious Art Pieces. Ich meine, ich weiß nicht, haben wir irgendwo... Ah, da. Supposedly priceless, but has no monetary value. Das können wir doch gleich mal einwerfen. Haha, ich pass voll auf heute.
So then the actual identity of this Master Masque is...
Mr.
Godot, what are you...
Das ist das Beste bei ihm.
We're in the middle of a trail here, Mr. Godot.
Blacker than a moonless night, hotter and more bitter than hell itself. That is coffee. I'm sure you can grant me at least this much, Your Honor. Oh, please, proceed.
Very well. It's only coffee after all.
What? You can't be letting him slide this early in the trial.
Proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Well, Nick, what are you going to do?
As long as they haven't brought up Mr. Delight's identity,
All we can do is show that it wasn't Master DeMasque who stole the urn. Da muss ich, glaube ich, nicht mehr pressen. The Calling Card. Andererseits ist es manchmal sehr lustig bei Gumshoe. Ich will jetzt zumindest mal hier oder da pressen, bevor ich weitermache. Have you been involved in the investigation from the beginning?
Yep, nobody knows more about the thief than me, pal. It's true, I'm a Zvari.
Seht ihr?
Author on thieves.
An author? He's written books about thieves? I think you probably meant to say authority.
The fact that this guy can slip through even my fingers shows how good he is, pal.
Yeah. It's easy when those fingers happen to be butter fingers. Press harder? So nobody knows more about the thief than you, huh?
You got it, pal, except maybe for the thief's mom, that is.
But isn't there someone who knows even more about him than the police?
You don't mean Detective Zvari, do you? Who's this person? Zvari? He sounds German.
Was heißt jetzt? Das klingt überhaupt nicht deutsch.
His name is Luke Abby, sir. I guess I shouldn't have made up such a silly name for him.
What the heck? I guess he's not all that famous after all.
Anyway, it's true that he did manage to retrieve the lost item the thief stole. Oh, I see. It seems you're not the expert you claim to be. Looks like the thief is toying with me even now.
So confident that he sends his calling card before he even commits the crime. Have you seen all of these so-called calling cards?
Of course I have. Except the person in charge of the treasure exhibit never brought their card to the police.
I find that interesting.
So I didn't see this one until after the crime occurred.
That's because Detective Atme stopped Miss Andrews from taking you to the police.
Was the calling card that Lolly Taylor received authentic? Well, all the cards have one common identifying feature, but we're not releasing that information to the general public. But you're absolutely certain that this card is real?
Gumshoe can't say it out loud, but I bet he's talking about Master DeMasque's emblem. This was his 5th heist, as usually he sent a card on to Lolly Taylor. His 5th heist, and your 5th screw-up, huh?
Objection, pal. That ain't fair. Maybe you could say I screwed up 4 times, but this last time wasn't my fault. I didn't know about the calling card this time.
You of all people shouldn't be chuckling about this, Detective Gumshoe.
I just want everyone here in the courtroom to know something. If you ever get a calling card from this guy, don't call some stupid private eye. Call your local police right away, got me?
Well, it looks like he's really got it in for Detective Atme. Okay, here. His pattern is to always go after the most precious art pieces. Bam! Can I ask you a little something, Detective Gumshoe?
Just hearing the little in that question is making me nervous.
You said that he always goes after the most precious art pieces, right?
That's right, pal.
But there's one problem. That's not what he did in this case. The supposedly priceless urn doesn't exactly rise to the level of precious art.
What do you mean?
Nick, how can you say such a terrible thing? Ich hab's geahnt, dass sie gleich ausflippt. No, I meant from a financial point of view. I mean, it wouldn't fetch a good price.
Well, Prosecutor Godot, what is the value of that urn?
The appraisers I spoke said they couldn't attach a price to it. And I mean that in the worst sense. So in other words, it was not the kind of item that Master DeMasque would normally go after.
Never understand you correctly, Mr. Wright. You're saying that the theft of the sacred urn was not the work of Master DeMasque?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Actually, all I did was point out the contradiction. The argument made itself, but...
Well, first of all, we need to get this issue cleared up. Was this last robbery the work of Master DeMasque or not? What do you have to say about this, Mr. Godot?
This coffee here, it's my own special blend. I call it Godot number 107. I'm trying to decide whether to cut down on the acidity or the bitterness. That's the only thing I've got on my mind right now, Mr. Tried. What? If you're really a man, you should clean up your own mess. Sorry, but I don't get what you mean. If you're saying it wasn't Master DeMasque that stole the urn, Then it must be someone imitating Master DeMasque's methods. A fake.
A fake DeMasque?
Fake DeMasque? That sounds so ridiculous, but I like it. Schon wieder, wer gibt ihm eigentlich die ganzen Tassen? Now, before I decide on my coffee, I believe some proof is in order, Mr. Trite. Proof that the person who appeared at Lordly Taylor that night was actually a fake.
Though I don't approve of Mr. Godot's behavior, his point is valid. Mr. Wright, waiting.
It looks like I'm going to have to prove it.
I need proof that the person at Lordly Taylor that night was in fact fake DeMasque.
Naja, das wäre das Foto, würde ich sagen. Da habe ich ja, ist ja gut, dass ich da vorhin schon mal drauf geguckt habe, sonst wäre ich jetzt, glaube ich, echt schon direkt am Rumüberlegen gewesen. Jetzt hatte ich auch für einen Moment Schiss, dass ich das Maul groß aufreiße und dann ist es das nicht. The proof is right here.
This looks like a photo taken by a security camera.
But if you look closely, you'll notice something peculiar about it. Huh. Well then, why don't you go ahead and show us what it is? Go on. Use this pointer and show us just what about this photo is so spectacular. Duh. It's right here, of course.
You mean Master DeMasque?
I have here a piece of reference I would like the court to take a look at. Isn't that the publicity photo I bought this morning? Yeah, and it's good you did. The problem I have with the security camera photo is the brooch on DeMasque's chest.
A breach here, bailiff, get my steed. We need to retreat at once.
A brooch, Your Honor. A brooch. It's a sort of clasp for holding one's cape on.
A clasp, eh? Oh, I see now. But the Master must in the security camera photo. Oh, he has no brooch.
That brooch is the same as the emblem on DeMasque's calling card and serves as a symbol. But the thief that broke into Lordly Taylor wasn't wearing a brooch. In other words, this Master DeMasque is a fake.
Oh, I've been fooled again. Order, it's true, undeniably true. Detective Gamshoe, how could you have overlooked this? Oh, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know how I...
Hey now, if you're gonna have a pity party, invite me too.
Mr. Godot, you deserve some blame this too. How could you have overlooked such a large brooch?
Huh, brooch you're talking about? Do you mean this?
Oh,
that's Master DeMasque's brooch.
Where did you find it?
Well, I've always had a good nose for evidence. I got it at the crime scene. It was hidden in the shadow of a big female Buddha statue. Buddha statue? You must mean the Amy Faye statue.
Why didn't you tell me about that, sir?
I always put evidence away in my pocket. After all, it's the safest place for crucial evidence. Das erscheint mir nicht ganz legal. This guy is one cool customer. It's a little early to be shaken up, isn't it, little lady? That friend of yours left pretty little hickeys on there, too.
Hickeys?
Figuratively speaking, of course. I'm referring to Rondelight's fingerprints.
What? What? The defendant's fingerprints are on the brooch? Order in the court. Mr. Godot, let's see that brooch.
I've grown attached to my metallic girlfriend here. Take good care of her.
Gee, I mean, it appears to have been torn off some clothing. There's a little bit of cloth left on the back.
Obviously, there must have been a big struggle that night at the crime scene. Uh-oh. Phoenix, we have a problem. Okay, found in the shadow of Amy Faye's statue. Looks like it was torn off from some clothing. Huh. You mess with Godot, and you get burned. He's been playing with me like a violin. He's been playing me. Well, Judge, I'm about ready to call my next witness.
Oh, you're done with me, but I haven't proved anything yet.
You've proven your own incompetence. That's good enough.
That doesn't sound good at all. Bailiff, bring the next witness into the courtroom.
Finally time for the Ace Detective to make his appearance, huh? Ich wüsste immer noch gerne, was in der blöden Tasche drin war.
1 second is 1 drip of the coffee pot. Let's hurry it up.
Shh! Silence! Now I see it's all becoming clear.
What's clear? Zvadi!
The truth has once again been elegantly revealed to me. What we have here is a judge and a prosecutor, a coffee maniac at that. Am I correct?
Ja, ich meine... Wow. Sherlock Holmes persönlich.
Well, yes, that's right.
Not bad at all. You're the first person that's ever been able to penetrate my secret veil.
Well, Sir Prosecutor,
Let me introduce myself. My name is Logatme, Ace Detective and rising star illuminating the heavens.
Boy, these two make a perfect pair, huh? They'd either be best friends or they'd tear each other's heads off.
I've heard that on the night of the crime, you were all alone on security detail.
You have heard correctly. My specially made monocle is worth more than 100 Detective Gumshoes.
Ich wusste nicht, dass Monokel jetzt in Detective Gumshoe gemessen werden.
If Detective Gumshoe was worth anything, that is.
Oh. Why was this guy all by himself anyway? There must be some reason, I'm sure of it. Also nicht so viel, genau.
Well, then tell us what the special monocle
Ist es eigentlich Monocle oder Monocle im Englischen? Da bin ich mir jetzt gar nicht sicher.
of yours witnessed.
Wahrscheinlich Monocle.
It was approximately 1 o'clock in the morning, just after the date changed. That's when my nemesis, the infamous DeMasque, dancingly descended upon me. Just as I began to turn, the coward struck a fierce blow upon my noble head. Darkness swallowed me before I could land a single strike. When I woke, he was gone. 30 minutes later, I used an emergency phone to notify the police.
Ist mir jetzt noch nichts direkt aufgefallen.
So you didn't get a clear look at the criminal.
My specially made monocle never misses a thing. However, that is limited to things that fall within my own visual range. But of course, that's only natural.
I fail to see why the witness seems so proud of his performance that evening.
Seriously.
Well, Sir Oldtimer, let me explain. We are not speaking of any ordinary thief, but of the king of thieves, the great master DeMasque, my arch enemy. That is what my instincts and my years of experience tell me.
Very well. Proceed with the cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Ich presse jetzt erstmal. Sei denn jemand anderem ist irgendwas aufgefallen. It was approximately 1 o'clock in the morning just after the day changed. So that will be 1 o'clock on the morning of the 12th, correct?
That's an impressive deduction, Sir Lawyer.
Well, fuck you too. You were on security duty that night. Where exactly were you at the time?
A penetrating question. I was in the basement warehouse near the computer.
Near the computer, huh?
So then you weren't trying to remain hidden, I take it.
Up to this point, I have tried to remain concealed while waiting for the thief.
Yeah, he said the same thing yesterday, too. Gumshoe also said that they've never spotted a thief at the crime scenes before.
Precisely. That is precisely why I chose not to hide last night. I knew that by not concealing myself, I would be putting pressure on the thief.
Looks like the thief was the one applying pressure. On your pigeony head, that is.
In any case, that's when my nemesis, the infamous Master
dancingly descended upon me. Dancingly descended? From where exactly?
Well, from the entrance, I suppose. Where else?
So in actuality, he neither danced nor descended. Someone please save me. So how is it that you didn't notice the thief?
My eyes were looking for the thief's shadow while my ears listened for his footfalls. But even so, the dastardly criminal managed to sneak up on me. It can only be due to his subtly camouflaged cape and soft-soled shoes.
I hereby W Ace
Just as I began to turn, the coward struck a fierce blow upon my noble head. Haben wir irgendwas, was da... Ich meine, nee, ist ja eigentlich... DeMasque knocked at me out during the crime with a blow to the back of the head. Just as I began to turn, widerspricht er auch noch nicht dem back of the head part. Was mich allerdings wundert ist, dass hier steht, diese Dings da wurde abgerissen. Das klingt ja dann eigentlich danach, dass sie sich geprügelt haben. Vielleicht muss ich das irgendwo präsentieren. Erstmal weiter press. You didn't see the criminal's face when that happened. Well, that's the difficult part. How should I put it? I saw his mask, that's all that I can recall.
That's not very solid as far as testimony goes.
However, fortunately I had my third monocle, the security camera at the ready. It captured his image perfectly. This should be sufficient, I believe.
Well, as long as this photo is authentic, I don't see a problem here. Well, Mr. Godot, do you have a problem with the photo? Good, then let's continue with the testimony.
Der muss einen Puls haben. Ohne Ende, wenn er so viel Kaffee trinkt. Darkness rolled on me before Columbus Eagle's strike. When I awoke, he was gone. Vielleicht kann ich da dieses den Brooch präsentieren. Attacked and knocked unconscious, and you weren't able to do a thing? That's certainly some very impressive detective work. Well, sir lawyer, have you ever been suddenly struck on the head? Huh? Well, actually, yes, by a fire extinguisher. And what happened? I was knocked out. And you lost your memory, too. Ah, das war der erste Fall in Teil 2. You see? You have no right to look down on me then, do you? Guess you got a point. The only reason I didn't lose my memory was because I have more brains to begin with. Ooh, he may have brains, but the wiring to the self-reflection part seems to be severed. In any case, that was how I was knocked senseless, and then... 30 minutes later, I used an emergency phone to notify the police. About this 30 minutes, my silver cord was loosened and my soul fled to the golden halls of Elysium. As usual, I have no idea what this guy is saying. I think he's saying that he was out cold.
So, what happened during those 30 minutes?
No one can say, Your Honor. That span of time has truly vanished into the ether. Just what is he going on about? There's something suspicious about Detective Atney. How could he not have noticed when the thief came in? Also, he says he was knocked unconscious before he could fight back. But that can't be right. It contradicts the evidence. Okay, da hatte ich doch recht vorhin. Real question is, why would he tell such an obvious lie? Okay. Darkness swallowed me before I could land a single strike. Ich würde sagen, hier präsentiere ich jetzt das. Ha! Mr. Abby. Fällt mir auf, ich habe noch nicht einmal gespeichert. Außer vorhin, wo man speichern durfte. Could you take a look at this with that special monocle of yours? A monocle? Ah, this belongs to the criminal mastermind, my arch enemy's Master DeMasque. It is in point of fact Master DeMasque's brooch. It was found on the floor of the basement warehouse. I wonder how that happened. Ha, elementary, my dear lawyer. Obviously it wasn't glued on well enough. Not quite. It clearly shows signs of having been ripped off a piece of clothing.
Ripped off?
You can only deduce that the thief struggled with someone that night. That's the only thing I can think of. And there's only one person that was in a position to have a struggle with the thief. The only person that was on security duty that night. You, Detective Atney. Yeah. Detective Atney, you must have fought with the thief that night. So why did you lie in your testimony to the court?
Witness, giving false testimony is a serious crime.
No. Wait just a moment, sir, old timer.
Don't talk to me like I'm living in a nursing home.
I just remembered, Your Honor. I was just confused because I've been dealing with so many cases lately.
The true measure of a man is in the amount of work he does. That's what I always say.
Nick, you can only handle one case at a time. Isn't that right?
You know, you talk too much.
Witness, so are you now saying that you and the thief fought?
Hold on. That's quite enough, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
Save the big questions for the testimony. That's one of my rules.
Indeed, I understand. I look at me agree completely. Indeed, it's true that I looked away from the door for a brief moment. However, look at me cannot be so easily discombobulated.
Is that even a word? Discombobulated? Das gibt's echt, das Wort. Wow. Also, ich meine, finde jetzt nicht, dass mein Englisch-Wortschatz gering ist, aber das habe ich noch nie in meinem Leben gehört.
Unfortunately, the thief grabbed the weapon from the side and rendered me senseless. A true gentleman fights only with his own fists, but they were not enough.
Ich wollte gerade sagen, das sollte ich mir mal merken, aber ich habe es schon wieder vergessen. Das irgendwas.
His first blow struck true. Bam! And that's all she wrote.
So in the end you did catch a glimpse of Master DeMasque.
Correct. It was during his third crime that he struck me from behind. It seems that my memory has become a tad jumbled, so to speak.
I don't buy it.
Well, that's certainly understandable. I myself always get confused about which testimony goes with which case.
Vielleicht solltest du dann
langsam mal in Rente gehen.
That can't be good.
Okay, it's true that I looked away from the door for a brief moment. However, look at me cannot be so easily discombobulated. Unfortunately, the thief grabbed a weapon from the side and rendered me senseless. True gentleman fights only with his own fists, but they were not enough. His first blow struck true. Ja, aber das erklärt immer noch nicht, wie du jetzt angeblich, wie jetzt das Dings abgerissen wurde. Erklärt das aber immer noch nicht, oder? Gut, ich press erstmal. Ich bin mir nämlich nicht sicher, was sonst. It's true that I looked away from the door for a brief moment. So why did you look away from the door anyway?
In addition to the camera, I had prepared a variety of other sensors as well. The alarm on one of those had gone off, so I had to check the data. That's why I went to the computer. Elegantly, of course.
Of course. So you were momentarily vulnerable when you were working on the computer. What should I do? Should I ask some more questions? Ich habe noch keine Ahnung. Ich mache also einfach mal alles. About the sensor? What kind of sensors are you talking about?
There are other places in the basement that someone could enter and exit from. There are air conditioner ducts, sewer pipes, and the cat door as well. I hooked up heat detecting, infrared, and ultraviolet sensors to each of them.
That's a lot of hardware. Was it all yours?
Lordly Taylor department store was kind enough to provide the monitoring hardware. Naturally, the security camera that took the photo belongs to them as well.
In other words, he couldn't have rigged the equipment, huh?
Has that cleared up any doubts you had about me, Sir Lawyer?
However, look at me cannot be so easily discombobulated. What does that mean? Ich find's schön, dass Phoenix genauso reagiert. Ich nehme mal an, da haben sie im Japanischen auch irgendein total selten benutztes Wort genommen und haben auf Englisch dann erstmal nachgeschlagen, was sie vielleicht benutzen können, das ähnlich unbekannt ist.
Young people these days, they really irritate me. They allow perfectly good old words to die until everyone forgets what they
mean. Okay, er kennt's offenbar. Sorry, but what exactly does it mean anyway?
Now I've forgotten.
Oder er kennt's vielleicht doch nicht.
What was I saying?
Jeez, it's better than old people who forget what they were saying 5 seconds ago. Well, it looks like we've cleared that up. You can go on with your testimony.
Unfortunately, the thief grabbed a weapon from the side and rendered me senseless.
What do you mean by weapon from the side?
Naturally, the thief had no idea that aRdW was hiding in the area. He grabbed the sword from the statue that was standing by the door to the warehouse.
Sword? You mean the sword that was all twisted like a tree branch?
Correct. Fortunately for me, the blade was not sharp.
Okay, so he is talking about the Shichishito.
So the thief armed himself with a sword. And what about yourself, witness?
Oh, bevor ich hier weitermache, da fällt mir ein, dass ich ja noch... Hier war noch eine andere Sache, die ich nachfragen konnte. Ja, und zwar Computer. So did that computer belong to Lordly Taylor as well?
Correct. Well, except for the program that manages the data. That was specially designed by me, look at me.
Oh. Das klingt aber jetzt doch ein bisschen... In that case, he could have easily manipulated the data.
What's wrong, Sir Lawyer?
Das sollten wir uns vielleicht mal merken. The true gentleman finds only with his own fists. You had that much faith in your own fighting abilities?
But of course, in college, I was the second in charge of the boxing club.
I'm sorry if I failed to find that appropriately
Impressive.
However, my opponent in the ring this time was my arch nemesis, DeMasque.
This guy is a real piece of work.
His first blow struck through, bam, and that's all she wrote.
Hat irgendjemand jetzt eine Idee? Ich weiß immer noch nicht, wo ich jetzt eine Objection reinwerfen soll. Und womit. Can you tell us a little more about what happened?
My opponent was both powerful and vicious. You might say he was powericious.
Powericious, genau.
But powericious? I assumed he had me fighting stance, but a sudden flash of light blinded me. That, of course, was checkmate. My opponent had bested me.
What do I do now? Should I ask more about this? You were blinded. So what was this flash of light that blinded you?
I was bathed in the golden light. That seemed to come from the statue of the woman.
The statue of Amy Faye, I'm guessing.
Well, that wasn't very much help at all.
Well, what do you think, Nick? Well, there's one thing that I'm absolutely sure of now.
Yeah? What is it?
This look at me guy. He's definitely hiding something.
But why?
I think I'm starting to figure out what really happened that night. And about the true nature of this detective. Echt, ich bin noch nicht so ganz sicher, was ich jetzt hier... Ist hier noch irgendwas anderes? Ich meine, ich konnte ja noch die andere Sache fragen. Und dann brauche ich, glaube ich, Hilfe. What is this at me fighting style?
I'm sorry, but that's a trade secret. I really can't say anymore. But I suppose I can tell you if I absolutely must. The main thing is to put your back to the wall. That way no one can get behind you.
That's it. That's the at me fighting style. Das klingt nicht so unbedingt wie eine gute Idee.
Well, Mr. Wright, what about that testimony?
Back to the wall? Ich bin jetzt versucht zu sagen, it was very important, aber auch nur, weil mir alle anderen Ideen ausgehen. Aber warum sollte es denn very important sein? Dass er mit dem Rücken gegen die Wand stand.
Ah, natürlich. Klar. Er kann doch nicht von hinten auf den Kopf gehauen werden, wenn er mit dem Rücken gegen die Wand stand.
Wow. Hätte ich fast übersehen. Of course it's important. We've learned a detective secret technique after all.
Yes, indeed. I'll remember to use it if I ever take a walk alone late at night.
Why the heck is he eyeballing me like that? That's creeping me out. Moment, ich dachte eigentlich... Now the witness.
Go ahead and add that secret information to your official testimony.
Okay. Put my back to the wall to fight, but the thief's blow landed upon my third eye. Ich dachte schon, ich komme hier nicht weiter. Detective Atme, your testimony is crumbling like a house of cards.
What fun is this, Sir Lawyer? It is truly a pleasure to cross swords with you. And now, once again, you have thrown down the gauntlet at my armored feet.
I believe this is what you said yesterday.
No, the coward must have wormed his way in through somewhere besides the door. Then my arch nemesis struck me in the head from behind with this gruesome item here.
From behind, huh?
But just now you testified that he struck you on the forehead. I hardly think you could forget where you were hit on the head.
It seems I've made another mistake.
Detective Adme, that's not the only strange part of your testimony.
What do you mean by that?
For example, the very fact that you hid the calling card from the police itself is strange. It's almost as if you were afraid they were going to help with security. Huh.
Geniuses such as myself have always been misunderstood. How sad.
That's wrong.
To err is human, to forgive divine. Humans aren't machines. They have souls, feelings. They live, they die, they love, they hate. And yes, they even make mistakes.
Hold on, it's not as pretty as that.
Whoa, really, what is it like then? Always chase a riddle down through the end. That's one of my rules.
This is it. This might just be my chance to turn things around.
Mr. Wright, what exactly is it that you're asserting?
Very well, Your Honor. The defense asserts that... Ich meine das auf jeden Fall. Ob er das gewesen ist? Klingt ja schon irgendwie so danach, ne? Ich meine, dass er Polizei nicht involvieren wollte, klingt für mich danach, als hätte er das Ding selber geklaut. Vielleicht war das sogar vorne in der Tasche drin, die Urne. The answer is simple. It's all clear to me now. Detective Luke Atmey's true identity is actually DeMasque.
Order in the court, Mr. Wright. What is the meaning of this?
There are too many unnatural parts to Mr. Atmey's story. He says he was hiding at the crime scenes, which is why no one ever saw him there. And then, in his last case, he manages to outperform Detective Gumshoe and the entire police force to miraculously retrieve the stolen treasure.
That's because I analyzed the crime scene data and made an exquisitely elegant deduction. I picked up clues that the police overlooked in order to arrive at a...
No, please. The explanation is far simpler than that, Detective Atmey. The truth is that you are, in fact, DeMasque.
Good. But Mr. Wright, this photo clearly shows DeMasque. The security camera belongs to Lolly Taylor department store. He shouldn't have been able to manipulate it.
He didn't need to manipulate it. He gained access to the warehouse under the pretense of providing security. Then he simply dressed up as the thief and stole the urn.
So the ace detective is actually an ace thief? Is this true, witness?
Oh, God.
DeMasque's MO is pure genius, and so am I. Look at me, ace detective. You're very clever to have come to such a conclusion. I am impressed, sir lawyer.
What? Witness, you're admitting it?
Nick, now's your chance. Yes, time to put the last nail in this guy's coffin. Detective Atmey, when you assume the thief's identity...
Godot Blend number 102, my personal favorite.
Das stelle ich mir etwas schmerzhaft vor.
Mr. Godot!
The ace detective is actually an ace thief. I smell a best-selling novel. There's only one problem. It simply isn't true.
But Mr. Godot, Mr. Wright has made some very strong points, and I
will admit my opponent has woven a compelling narrative out of whole cloth, but it is, in fact, nothing more than a patchwork quilt. Mr. Tried. If this detective really is the thief, then show us the proof of your claim. But it had better be as hard and as perfect as the coffee dripping down your face.
Well, Mr. Wright, don't just stand there. This court would like to see this decisive proof you have, quickly.
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. What's the big rush? You alright, Nick? Atme looks pretty rattled right now. I'd like to finish this right now if I can, but can I really do it? Ich weiß nicht. Ich kann ja mal speichern. Hab ich irgendwas, was jetzt decisive ist? The decisive evidence that proves Mr. Luke Atme is in fact Master DeMasque. Ich hab... As usual, the defense comes prepared, Your Honor. Oh God. Keine Ahnung.
Very well, then let's see what you've got. Please present proof that Master DeMasque was actually Mr. Luke Atme.
Irgendwas hiermit vielleicht? Oh, da steht da noch was. The security of Lordly Taylor. I will be coming to Purloin, the most priceless work of art and displaying your treasure of coding experience. I will take good care of the speckled urn, won't you? Speckled urn. Speckled urn. Ich präsentiere das jetzt einfach mal. Here's your proof.
What do you think, Mr. Godot?
Looks to me like Mr. Trout is still a mite sleepy. Oh shit. Perhaps you'd like a big mug of my special Godot blend. Well, no thanks, I'm fine, really. What do I do now? Another mistake like that and I'm through. Without some decisive evidence, I could be risking everything. I don't have a thing. Proof? Of course I've got nothing. Ah, just what I thought. A man has to hold his head up high no matter how bad things get after all.
I see. I thought perhaps you had some evidence to back up your assertion.
This is no good. I've got to stay on the attack. I'll never get another chance to prove that this guy is the thief. Don't give up, Nick. Think harder and try again. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Irgendjemand anders? It's no good. I'm just not ready yet. But are you going to just give up and let us lose this? So you've come to your senses, have you, Sir Lawyer? I can't think of a counterattack at all.
It seems the cloud of suspicion surrounding this witness has lifted. Mr. Godot, if you have anything further to add, then... Who? Who are you?
That doesn't really matter right now, does it? Mr. Light, what are you doing here? Nicky boy, the thing you've been looking for. I think I found it.
You mean the bag?
No, not the bag. What's in the bag? Well... oh shit.
That's...
The sacred urn! Nick, it's the urn! Oh, wenn die da vorhin noch mal etwas schneller reingeguckt hätten.
Order! You, madame! That urn, where did you find it?
You'll never believe it. It was in the office of Mr. Fancy Pants Ace Detective. Look at me. Oh, Desi, you're the best. Found in the office of Look At Me has pink splotches all over it. Well, how do you explain that one, Mr. Atme? Even you are going to have a hard time weaseling out of this one. Ha, pathetic.
Mr. Godot, do you have something you wish to say?
Yes, Your Honor. It simply amazes me how quickly times change. In the old days, a man was to be taken at his word. It's truly sad.
You're still denying that Mr. Atme was involved?
Before casting aspersions at Detective Atme, consider the young lady here. Your name is Desiree Delight, is that correct? Yes, what about it? Huh. How charming. The lengths that a woman is willing to go to save her husband is truly inspiring. What are you insinuating? As the wife of the criminal, you could have discovered that stolen urn anywhere, including the office of the good detective here.
So you found the urn. What does that prove? It certainly doesn't prove where the urn was before you found it.
What? I just brought it here from the detective's office.
Please, madame, this town is already filled to the brim with lies. Any more could only compound the tragedy we have been witness to.
You're wrong. I would never do such a thing.
Mr. Light,
Please, Nicky boy, you've got to help me talk some sense into these people.
there must be some way. I've got to prove that urn was actually in the aRdW Detective Agency.
Darf ich hier speichern? Es ist nämlich eh 11 Uhr. Sogar schon 1 nach 11.
Okay.